Welcome to part 2 of the Kendal and Cumbria Odyssey. Started off meant to be sort of like really quite short videos, but I got 90 odd shots yesterday in Kendal, so we'll see how we get on this morning around the coast of South Cumbria. I absolutely drowned yesterday. This morning not a cloud in the sky, and I had to scrape the ice off the car. Moving on from Kendal yesterday, I was at a helicopter out searching for me already. Does he not realise that he's spoiling my video? Got to have a little run around the coast on the way home. So first stop is Grangeover Sands. Them's the sands, and this is the end of Morecambe Bay. Footpaths on the other side of the railway. I don't really know how I get across there. I'll find that in a minute. I've now found my way across the railway. A beautiful day, beautiful place. So there was snow on the hills of the lakes as I came along, which probably is a good idea that I'm sticking to the coast today. So Grange is another one of the Victorian resorts that sprung up in the 1850s when the railways came. So the people of, I'm guessing, Manchester, Liverpool, could get away from the major cities and out into the countryside. As I said, it's on the north side of Morecambe Bay. You might just be able to see Hersham Power Station in the far distance. And this promenade that is along the front, it's actually nowhere near the water, because I've just read that the River Kent, as in coming out of Kendal, used to flow through the north side of Morecambe Bay, but over time it migrated itself to run along the south coast, south side of the bay, which obviously caused the sands and muds to build up here on the north side. And as you can see, it's all reed beds and mud flats. So the promenade runs obviously alongside the reed beds, flats, and just the other side is the railway line, which cuts the town off from the promenade, which is a bit of a shame. But I think there are quite a few places where this happens. Obviously the railways are limited in where they can run by the topography of the area they're running through. They're not the greatest things for climbing up hills, unless you're in Switzerland or somewhere like that. So there do seem to be quite a few footbridges across the railway as you come along. I think I'm coming to an old signal box. It's accessible, totally accessible. And on a morning like this, apart from the fact that my fingers are dropping off because it's cold, and you'll see everyone else has got woolly hats on, and of course mine's sitting in the car somewhere. But beautiful for every day. Not sure you need to see me at this time of the morning, but even got the sunnies on. Oh, I can hear, where's it gone? There's some sort of warbler behind me. I don't know whether you caught it on the mic. It seems to go on for quite some way. I'm guessing I turned away from the cafe. But to be fair, my stop was meant to be planned at Barrow in Furness. But I just saw the signpost here and remembered that I had been here before, so I just stopped off. So this here, a bit of cobbles suddenly. So as you do, you look around and you find that this is the old pier. And then up to the railway line. There's a track runs up the other side. That makes a bit more sense. So there is a footpath the other side of the railway that runs up into the village. I'm guessing that's the way that you would bring people down this walkway, across there, and then onto the steamboat when the River Kent ran on this side of the bay. So ahead of me is the site of the old outdoor Lido, I think it is. Built in the 1930s and open until the 1990s. There's a few of them still about. There was one, we were down in Weston-super-Mare at the weekend, and there was one there, but I believe that's now gone. Certainly at Scarborough there used to be one on the South Bay, which for years we saw and nobody ever went in, but that one was refreshed by the seawater. I don't know how high Morecambe Bay ever got. I'll see if I can find any signs to tell me whether it was a seawater Lido or fresh water. So this is the Lido that's being redeveloped. You can see seating and such going into it. I think they've got lottery funding or government funding. It would be a really nice place for the people of Grange. British seaside towns are spending quite a lot of money now on redevelopment to make these places more attractive for a day out. It's all working very well. I mean, there's plenty of council work going on down here, fitting new outdoor gyms and things like that. I'll get a picture if there's no kids on these ones around the corner. Yeah, so I'll stay back here. So you got like outdoor gyms, you've got a tea room, little gazebo shelter. So on a sign just further back there, it was saying that when the railway line came in, there was no coal or fuel for the steelworks that were being built at Barrow-in-Furness, and that all the coal came from the South Durham mines, coalfield, was dragged. Anybody who's gone across the A66, it was dragged across Stainmoor and then came down to the west coast here along the line, the railway line that I'm just walking beside. Thanks to the suggestion from Steph at Wonky Travel, I'm now out at Walney Island, which is right at the far end of the peninsula. Barrow is just over there behind me. I'm not sure whether you can see the peaks of the Lake District, which are covered in snow beyond Barrow. But I think that's the BAE place where they build the submarines, is it? That's Barrow's famous for. Which is across a bridge from Barrow, so it is an island. And wind farms out in the bay. And this is the Roundhouse, I think it was called. As always seems to be the way now, yet again, at British seaside places, we have children's play parks. Brilliant, to encourage the family day out. Really good footpaths here. I thought it was all going to be grass and heathland, but it's not. They're all tarmacked, so perfectly disabled access. Seating. Footpaths all the way along this front. People out throwing balls for dogs again. It's a pretty lovely day. You can get yourself out in the countryside like this, even with me limping along. I'll have a little bit of a walk, and then I'm hoping that that cafe and restaurant is open and I can get myself something to eat, because I haven't stopped to buy anything, because that would be far too well organised. It was rural until the end of the 1800s, early 1900s, when the industry built up in Barrow, at which point the population on Walney Island increased massively with the workers, and they built a bridge, the Jubilee Bridge, to join the island to Barrow across Barrow Docks. Hello. And this is a wonderful place for dogs to wander about. Just sitting looking at the wind farms out in the bay. And we saw Hersham Nuclear Power Station earlier, just on Morecambe Bay. You have Sellafield with the nuclear recycling, if that's the right word, processing, just up the coast. Morning. And it just brings home how, while we're told southeast of England is basically what pays for the UK,
Big fella.
without everything that is produced around in the regions, they'd have no power. All the water, all the reservoirs, they're outside of the southeast and feed in. You know, we really are a nation that you need every part of it for this to function. So the part of Walney Island that I'm at is called Bigger Banks, and it was in the early 1900s and up until the 1960s. It's where the workers of Barrow came to holiday. Apparently they had a ferry run across, they had bridges, they extended the tram line in the early 1920s. And everybody basically set off to the beach. Most major industrial towns had places like this, certainly in the northeast of England where I come from. People headed off down to Roker, to Seaham, to Whitley Bay. And if you think of Blackpool, was where everybody headed out of Manchester, Liverpool, Preston areas. Yeah, I'm guessing Skeggy and places like that. Brighton sprung up from London. Everywhere has their little area. So I've come about 2 hours north, and I'm now in Whitehaven Quay, to see something I saw online. It's a phenomenon that started, I think, about 3 or 4 years ago now. Depending who you speak to, you get totally different answers to what causes it. But let's have a walk along and we'll see what we can find. So this looks like a lovely coastal harbour. We're right down on the edge of Cumbria, on the west side. Yet again, you can't quite see them, but the lakes, the western lakes, are just a few miles inland. And there's a lovely big marina. Yet again, obviously an awful lot of money being spent here. British seaside places, council have spent a lot of money, time, making it a desirable place to come and visit. So Whitehaven as a port grew up to deal with the coal from the Lowther family. And you pass Lowther Castle just off the M6 at Penrith. So So that was back in the 1700s. A lot of these ports came about purely to deal with coal. So Whitehaven has been involved in the tobacco trade and the sugar trade. At one point in the 1750s, 1760s, the amount of trade going out of Whitehaven was second only in this country to the amount of trade going out of the docks in London. Yet again, made a few people very rich. So this is one of the docks. Not sure which one. You can see all the swans. Loads of swans. Oh, and there's more coming in. Some massive seagulls. So obviously there's plenty of feeding around here for them. So down in the harbour there's quite a few large service ships which will be for servicing the wind farms that we saw out in the sea down at Barrow, down at Walney Island. Yeah, again, it's good business for these small ports, keeps everything going. So I'm now here at Queen's Dock, and this dock, you can probably see from the colour of the water, is considerably different. There's an orange stain all the way around the wall that you can see. So this started appearing, I'm told, in November, oh, I've just seen a sign, so November 2022. And it's been tested, and the water contains iron ochre. And it's believed it's coming from a railway tunnel which ran underneath the deposits that were mined here. It's an industrial past, but it's strange that it's taken hundreds of years for this to happen. I mean, there is a definite colour change. I'll try and get some sort of view that you can see, but I think it's probably easiest to see by the stain, the high water mark around the wall. I think I've seen on some YouTube vlogs people talking to locals who have all sorts of different views as to where it comes from. I believe you won't be able to see it, but there are some old industrial works up on the top of the hill on the outside of the harbour. It's believed that there is storage places underneath there that may also contain the thing that's ending up in the harbour. Okay, eventually we'll find out, I suppose. So up on the top of the cliff there is the Candlestick Chimney. It was built 1850, and it's the chimney for the Wellington mine, which obviously sits underneath the cliffs. Now this is a bit strange because it contradicts what we saw at Grangeover Sands, because if they did have coal coming into Whitehaven from Lowther and from mines here at the harbour, why were they running the coal from South Durham to feed the furnaces in Barrow? That is a strange one. Maybe there's nothing runs north-south to cover the 20 or 30 miles between here and the west coast. But you would have thought it'd be easier if you're putting stuff into boats here in Whitehaven to then just sail it down to Barrow Docks. So at the far end of the Queen's Dock there's a statue called the Whiting Shoal. All I can think is that these little fishies, which you see sparkling, shining in the sunshine, are leading to the statue. I wonder whether that is meant to be the whiting heading to the shoal. Okay, we may be getting somewhere then. So at the far end of the docks, the bike stands are fish. And leading away from the fish bike stands are the fish you can see on the path, which runs all the way along to the sculpture at the far end by Tesco's. So it is one sculpture that runs the whole length of the docks. So I thought I'd just paid £1.60 to park here for shits and giggles. And then I walked across the car park, looked over the top of the houses opposite, and saw that view of the Lake District Fells. I think that's worth £1.60 of anybody's money, isn't it, really? Yes, it's puerile humour, and it's just me. So, anyway, you are just entering Cockermouth. You're just come into Cockermouth. Let's get them all out of the way straight away. And then I'll have a walk into the town. Because it might be quite nice. And you know what? I'm on my way home anyway. So let's see what is in Cockermouth. Yeah, okay. Another one. Oh. Look at that. I'm almost being photogenic here, aren't I? You know, the sun's setting in the west, reflection on the river. And the old Jennings Brewery, by the look of things. Oh well, that's, I'm guessing, is where I'm going to head towards. And I think I can see a castle ruin behind the brewery as well. So it seems to be a reasonable sized town. Bypassed by the A66 now, but I'm guessing this is the old road that ran straight through the middle of it. I'm guessing it's another gateway to the lakes. Buildings are old. It's definitely a historical town. The Fletcher Christian. That's the guy off the Bounty, isn't it? Little sign. So it'd be rude not to. Down a little alleyway. And I reckon over the bridge will be the Jennings Brewery. So there is an old ruin just over the back. I'll see if I can get a better view when I get down onto the bridge. Warehouse stables for 200 years and then turned into apartments. Oh, there we go, there's the brewery. And the river splits. So we've got one part here and another part over there. Juggling videos at the moment because the battery's about to go on the Action Pro, and I didn't think I was going very far, so I didn't bother bringing a battery out of the car. So this is Jennings Brewery. Now interestingly, this is Foundry House. So I'm going to guess the chimneys we see behind may well be an old foundry. Oh, just for those that are interested, there's your times. So I'm sitting at the convergence of the Derwent and the Cocker. And obviously this is the mouth of the Cocker, where it joins the Derwent. Therefore, we're at Cockermouth. Now, I've just read up on the castle. So the castle is still seems to be still in private hands. And at some point was owned by the Percys, who were a big name in land ownership in the north of England, especially in Northumbria. And the Dowager Duchess lived in the castle up until 2013, at which point I think they started letting the public in to have a look. It's a lovely evening, it's getting a bit chilly. I suppose I need to head back home because I'm at work in the morning. Maybe I could just stay here. Might give the game away, won't it, if I sort of like ring in sick on Wednesday the 18th after posting this online. As with most brewers these days, we have a shop and tours. I'm tempted to find out what the story is because they're calling it Revival. There we go. There's the sign. Join the Revival, re-established 2025. I'll have to have a look and see if I can find out what that is. It's funny how the bar staff always run away from a photo. It seems new owners of Jennings decided to re-establish brewing in Cockermouth last year, is that right?
Yes,
Or is that to continue?
Started brewing in the spring and we opened to the public at the beginning of July.
Brilliant, well, it's great to see it back in the town. And a lovely tap room. Okay, so that's the end of my couple of days in Cumbria. There's loads more to see. Could have spent ages on this trip and I'm only like, what, a third of the way up the west coast. Loads of places that I haven't been to. Workington, came past Egremont and Millom and places like that are names that I know but I don't really know what's there. With hindsight, could even have taken the week and done all this. But thanks for sticking with it. It might be quite long. But I think there's a few interesting bits. I've even chucked some history in this time, which is unusual for me. And some of it's actually right. But I'm sure you'll find the bits that aren't. Thanks a lot. Bye.